to another episode of Other Side Replay. I'm Wesley.
I'm Will.
And today we want to talk about the scariest games that we've personally ever played. Our opinion. Obviously, any top 10 list is opinion, open to conjecture. Feel free to say your favorites.
Not on my list.
In
this
the bottom.
Is the list. I don't care what you got, what you think.
So, no further ado. Coming in at number 10, Dead Space 2. Very creepy game.
It's a badass game.
Yeah, you take the what always unnerved me about Dead Space is the claustrophobic environments. Yeah, they overuse the jump scares a little bit in spots, but just the feeling of isolation that you have, and also all the stuff going on in the background. You know, the crazy cult that you're dealing with. And,
right. I like the environmental sounds. I thought the atmosphere they did with the colors and shadows in the game added that extra tension, and the fact that I was always fucking running out of ammo and the little creepy crawler son of a bitches.
Yeah, the babies and the kids.
That you had to stomp on and shit, and it's like, great game. Dead Space 2. The other two I didn't really care about, but Dead Space 2.
Yeah.
Number 10.
Coming in at number 9, The Suffering, which for me definitely wins the award of one of the darkest stories ever written. In The Suffering, you play as a convicted murderer, Torque, who is convicted of murdering his own family. While he's in prison, he's experimented on. But then all of a sudden, everything in the prison goes tits up as all hell breaks loose, and these horrific monsters are running around the prison and on the grounds, murdering people, and they're all a representation of a form of capital punishment, a form of the death penalty that took place throughout history. So a lot of very interesting looking, creepy enemies. This was a game that I enjoyed playing it so much I could forgive some of the flawed controls. If they had been more polished, I personally think it'd be one of the best horror games ever made. But the story is just so creepy. And once again, sound design. Mm-hmm. When you're going down a hallway and they have these enemies that walk on blades on their feet and you can just hear the little chink, 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 and it just, ugh.
I think that game should be redone.
I really think of all the games that get remakes, I would really love to see The Suffering get a remake, have it be a little more polished.
For Resident Evil 4 making it.
But yeah, it'd be, yes.
Yeah, Suffering needs to come back.
Very good. Coming in at number 8, Eternal Darkness. I always loved Eternal Darkness because it was one of the few games that showed that the GameCube, maybe you shouldn't have given up on it. Published by Silicon Knights. This was a game that if you ever read H.P. Lovecraft and you enjoy H.P. Lovecraft and you're like, man, I really wish there was a video game that was right up, H.P. Lovecraft's alley, even more so than Silent Hill, in my opinion.
That's what I think of when I wake up in the morning.
It's Eternal Darkness.
Are there any Lovecraft video games out there that I can play?
Hey, most of horror borrows from Lovecraft. This is a great game about these ancient gods that, use madness and influence to build up these cults on Earth. You play as Alexandra Roivas, who is investigating the murder of her grandfather. And this was probably the first game and only game I've ever seen that breaks the fourth wall so much just to fuck with the player. Making you think your save data has been deleted. Making you think you're seeing things. Simulating a complete console crash. And doing it so effectively that the first time it happens to you, you really think your GameCube's been bricked. And just for that alone, that it was the first to really do that. Other games have done it since, to smaller degrees, but this one just relentlessly screwed with you. I really enjoyed that.
Why am I all of a sudden thinking about that fucking Atari Ghostbuster game where you had to
exactly, it was like that,
hit the little switch
on a consistent basis that it really accomplished. You didn't know what was real.
If you want to know more about that Ghostbuster game, just watch Angry Video Game Nerd. He did a
covers it in great depth. Okay, coming in at number 7. We're going to have a dual one coming in because we couldn't agree on a number 7. I'm saying Five Nights at Freddy's.
Fuck that.
But you're saying
Resident Evil 4. Alright, Resident Evil 4, which got remade recently and thrown on Xbox One. Look, I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's, to me, is just a bunch of hype, alright? And people making a lot of money acting like jackasses. And, we've never stooped so low to do a bit on our show about that, but... But anyway, I mean, okay, not the entire game, of Resident Evil 4, but when you go into the town and those psychotic chicks, are coming after you, and the chainsaw massacre, or when you're in the castle area and all those little
the chanting is unsettling.
Dudes, come on, Five Nights at Freddy's ain't got shit.
For me, Five Nights at Freddy's, I've made fun of it, but I will say, playing the game, the first one, it's become a great success, and more power to it. But when I played the first one, even though it is just jump scares, that's what it is. It did build a sense of dread in me because I didn't want the jump scare to happen. So the fact that it made me feel on edge is why I say Five Nights at Freddy's. But I do agree, Resident Evil 4, it was real close. That's why they're both there, because we couldn't agree.
If you agree with me, put it in the comments.
Yeah. Coming at number 6, Fatal Frame. Now, Japanese horror is notorious for subtlety and really making you feel creeped out.
The horror
industry
right now.
Now, we have Silent Hill that obviously, has huge, Japanese influences, but probably the best interpretation I ever played of a Japanese horror movie is Fatal Frame, where you are a young girl walking around this haunted house and all you have is a camera. It's a special spirit camera that captures the spirits, but some of the ghosts that are in that game and just the feeling of oppression as you're walking around this very dark house when you don't know what's coming because the ghosts, they can move through walls. Some of them will actively chase you. Some of them won't. Don't give a shit that you're there, until you get too close. Definitely very creepy game. The second one was as well, but the first one just left an impression on me.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Now, coming in at number 5,
Luigi's Mansion.
The one where Luigi's hanging in the background, the lightning, and you see it. No, just kidding. Number 5, I lumped 3 together, and to me, I think the best one of the category is Outlast, but Outlast, Amnesia, and Alien Isolation, because they all have the basic premise of you can't really fight back. You're running for your life. Now, Alien Isolation, to me, would be third on that list, because the alien's scary.
This is kind of a fucked up top 10 list. It's turning into like a top 14.
Well, I'm just saying. I had to group these together because it's the same basic gameplay and they're all good. Alien's the most polished, but while the alien's scary like the first hour and a half, 2 hours you're dealing with him, it stretches on way too long by them putting, arbitrary goals, arbitrary obstacles in between you and your main goal. And then the robots that follow you around, they aren't scary. They're just annoying. Amnesia isn't as polished, but it's just terrifying when you're running from the monsters. But Outlast, you're in an insane asylum. Enough said. You're in an insane asylum. You're being chased by mutated crazy people, and you can't fight back. The only thing I didn't like about Outlast was being in the dark, messing with your sanity, because I'm not scared of the dark, though.
Number
4. Condemned.
Yeah.
In the same vein as number 5, but in Condemned you can fight back. But it's melee combat. It's up close. It's personal. It's visceral. You're a detective, and homeless people have suddenly started losing their minds and murdering people, and you don't know why. And you were just the end battle when you are running through a house. You're being chased by a serial killer. It's so intense that I wish the series would have stayed that way. They introduced supernatural powers in the second one for no flipping reason, but
ruin everything.
but the first one was just A+ on making you feel creepy. And number 3, because it's the granddaddy. Before Resident Evil, there was Clock Tower, where you are being chased by the psychotic, sadistic Scissor Man.
Was that on?
PC originally, and then it was ported.
Some people might want to know some of those.
Originally on the PC, and then ported to the PlayStation 1 after Resident Evil kicked in the door for horror in America, most definitely. But Clock Tower was a game of strategy. You had to hide from the Scissor Man or set traps for him. You couldn't kill him. You could only incapacitate him, and he chased you throughout the entire damn game while you are trying to figure out A, who he is, and B, how you could stop him. Very, very intense when you hear, Once again, going back to sounds, when you hear those big scissors,
Right.
coming together, but you can't see them yet, your heart started pumping. I remember I was a teenager when I played this game, and it freaked me out. Number 2.
2. Resident Evil.
The HD remake.
remake.
Another reason the GameCube.
Now, if you played the
stuck
original
around.
one and you were lucky enough to play the reissued one, then you know that they stepped it up.
Oh my
hugely
God. Yeah.
For the remake. It wasn't just like
Graphically, new
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah, we're not just a complete port. Put it on a new system, same shit. They stepped it up, so you didn't. Even if you beat the first one, you thought you knew how this game was gonna go.
Yeah, and then you ran into Lisa Trevor and shit your pants.
Yeah.
One of the scariest damn things. The unstoppable, hunchback, deformed.
And the atmosphere,
Crazy monster.
That's the thing about some of these games. The atmosphere in
Yeah.
these games.
That's what's all.
You know.
Yeah, that just like with a
I'm
horror
waiting
movie,
for
that's what's
Xbox
important.
Xbox One to put out something on that level to just... Because I like to play these games with the lights out. I don't know how you guys play them, but you shut the lights out, got a bag of chips, and you're ready to play. And then you go to the bathroom, you flip the light on, and you don't shut it off. You just fucking forgot because you were scared.
Yes, definitely putting it in the cramped environment
Yes.
of the mansion and the hallways and the blind corners, where in a lot of ways the fixed camera perspective doesn't work, but in Resident Evil, it always worked because it added to the fear that you couldn't see what was around the next corner.
They worked their controls to where it wasn't going to be a pain in the ass because at that time we were used to having the camera just follow you. So I love it.
Yeah, no, it was
badass.
excellent remake. I would love to see the rest of the series get the same treatment. I'd love to see Resident Evil 2 be
hell yeah.
remastered.
Now, you guys already know what number 1 is if you play video games at all.
Yeah.
We only dedicated 2 episodes of our show. You can go back and check them out.
Yeah, number 1, Silent Hill 2.
2.
I can't say enough about the
Mic
game.
drop. Don't gotta say nothing else.
Yeah, the story is dark, but most importantly, you just...
So many great characters.
Yeah, and it goes away from a lot of the conditions. It doesn't rely on jump scares. It relies on atmosphere. Sometimes you can walk around for minutes at a time. You don't run into a monster, period.
The sound, let's go into the soundtrack. I don't know if you own any video game soundtracks at home, but man, 2 of the ones I got, Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3, those soundtracks are excellently made. He did those in I think a day.
Yeah.
With they're great soundtracks, but and taking your shortcomings, we're not going to put a lot of money so you can see all the way down the street. I know. Let's put some creepy ass fog that you can't see the creatures coming out of. Excellent.
Oh yeah, with the clunky combat, which only adds to your feeling of helplessness.
Yeah.
And just an oppressive atmosphere. Everybody you meet, with the exception of the little girl, is a complete basket case that doesn't make you feel any better about your situation. And then, of course, the iconic pyramid head stalking you.
Static radio.
Yeah, the static radio. Essentially, Silent Hill 2 is just horror done right. It's how you nail it with sound, atmosphere, controls that work, and a game that it stands up.
Now, I got a lot of hope in Resident Evil 7, but I don't know.
Yeah, Resident Evil 7.
It looks good.
Obviously,
that's not on our list. And don't be asking me why wasn't Jericho on the fucking list and all that crap.
It wasn't fucking scary.
Yeah, there's always some. Oh, it wasn't Jericho.
Doom's a great game. There was lots of games that could be on here, but just for me...
Doom. But Resident Evil 7
these are the
might
games
make
that
the list
produced,
next year. We'll have to see.
A genuine reaction, which was, oh, fuck, I don't want to go in that next room.
Yeah. I'm going to go look for ammo and health first.
Exactly.
Mix some plants together.
All
right. We hope you enjoyed our top 10 of the scariest video games that we've played. Now we have a little trivia question, because you just can't play video games all the time. You should read some good suspenseful stuff. And Marie Lanza's new book, Fractured the Other Side, it's a good book. There's some good zombie shit going on there. And Wesley is going to shoot you the trivia question.
Okay, trivia question is, in the original Resident Evil and the RE remake, what mansion is the STARS team investigating when all hell breaks loose? Answer this question correctly in the comments below or on our Facebook page, and you will win a copy of Marie Lanza's new book,
The Other Side. I'm Will.
I'm Wesley.
See you next time.